This is an MJA Inc. Investigations warning. This MJA podcast is rated E for explicit. Some details of a case and language used on this podcast might be upsetting to some of our listeners. Listeners' discretion is advised. And for those who are still with us, kick back and enjoy the show. When there is an ending, there was a beginning. Every victim has a picture to paint. Every true crime has its time and place. Please join our MJ podcast, the series Deep into the Woods, Missing Persons, Unsolved Crimes, and the Does. Welcome to our MJ podcast, the series, Children Who Never Made It Home, Episode 7, Part 9, 12 Missing Children. The NCIC reports that over 600,000 people go missing each year. There are many adults and children who are found quickly, alive and well, but several thousands of them remain missing. It's a family's worst nightmare when a loved one goes missing, but it's a fact. When it's a child, the stakes are higher. We as a nation, we have failed to protect our children with crimes against children that are on the rise. But in many cases, it's not the fault. It's the fault of the lawmakers, where judges have no choice but hand down flimsy sentences to these child predators. But you do have judges where they grant a convicted child killer an appeal bond who decides to go on the run and kill along the way. If you follow trends of crime, you will know that there are several repeat offenders because the sentences allow them to become a revolving door to harm our children again. This must stop, and as a nation, we need to pass harsher sentences for these child predators. Some of these cases won't have a lot of info about the case, but these are the types of cases that needs to be profiled and never forgotten. Please join us as we step back into time. Good evening. My name is Mark, and I will be your host for tonight's show. Joining me later will be our co-host, Olivia. We are coming to you from Hudson, Florida, located on the Gulf of Mexico. Case 1. It was on July 27, 1992, is when 8-year-old Scott Christian Eccles, a white male, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Muscoy, California. Case 2. It was on September 5th, 1976, is when 9-year-old Lisa Carol Dickinson, a white female, went missing and vanished without a trace from Walnut Creek, California. Case 3. It was on August 6, 1995, is when 9-year-old Jack Daniel Phillips, a white male, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Big Bear Lake, California. Case 4. It was on November 10th, 1980, is when 7-year-old Donna Lee Fowler, a white female, went missing and vanished without a trace from Trinity, California. Case 5. It was on September 11th, 2000, is when 8-year-old Zachary Michael Cole Bernhardt, a white male, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Clearwater, Florida. Case 6. It was on July 11th, 1993, is when 10-year-old Andrea Gail Parsons, a white female, went missing and vanished without a trace from Port Solano, Florida. Case 7. It was on November 6, 1997, is when 13-year-old Ricky Lane Thomas Jr., a white male, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Bristow, Indiana. Case 8. It was on August 29th, 1981, is when 12-year-old Deborah Jean Cole, a white female, went missing and vanished without a trace from Lebanon, Indiana. Case 9. It was on May 22nd, 2005, is when 4-year-old Brighton Scott Ackerman, a white male, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Alton, Iowa. Case 10. It was on March 24th, 1980 is when 14-year-old Kimberly Sue Doss, a white female, went missing and vanished without a trace from Davenport, Iowa. Case 11. It was on July 1st, 1999 is when 11-year-old Adam Joseph Herman, a white male, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Towanda, Kansas. Case 12. It was on January 16th, 1995 is when 15-year-old Rachel Pratt, a white female, went missing and vanished without a trace from Garden City, Kansas. Let's take a pause for the cause, and when we return, Olivia will be on the line, and we will profile 12 missing person cases of children who never made it home. Be back in a moment. Welcome to our MJ podcast, the series Children Who Never Made It Home, Episode 7, Part 9, 12 Missing Children. We realized in the introduction we said our co-host Olivia would be on the show tonight, but due to conflicting schedules, she won't be here tonight for this recording. Olivia has a law degree and she is an educated engineer with around 38 years of experience in both degrees. She is also a 9/11 survivor who I interviewed on one of our podcasts of her experience on that deadly day. Olivia was there for a job interview with a law firm. Olivia is one of the top 5 crime researchers in the country. So when she is absent, Olivia is greatly missed. But she will return to the air real soon with her beauty, wit, and charm. So, let's get to profiling these 12 child cases. And we are sorry if MJA has profiled certain cases already, but sometimes we just can't keep track of all the cases we have profiled. Welcome to the state of California. The Doe Network has 708 males and 498 females listed as being missing from the state of California. Case 1. Welcome to Muscoy, California. Missing male. It was on July 27, 1992, is when 8-year-old Scott Eccles, a white male, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Muscoy, California. It was on that day in the morning hours is when the 8-year-old Eccles was last seen. Since July 27, 1992, the 8-year-old Eccles has not been seen or heard from beyond that day. Neighbors told police that they were concerned about Eccles' family situation at the time of the 8-year-old's disappearance. Eccles' family denied all allegations and passed polygraph tests and are not believed to be connected to the 8-year-old's disappearance. Investigators did learn the 8-year-old Eccles was on probation for setting fire to an abandoned building the year before he vanished. The 8-year-old Eccles also was known for panhandling around Muscoy, California. At the beginning, there were several leads that were followed, but was never able to locate 8-year-old Scott Eccles. If you have any info concerning this case, please call the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department at 909-387-3556. Case 2. Welcome to Walnut Creek, California. Missing female. It was on September 5th, 1976, is when 9-year-old Lisa Carol Dickinson, a white female, went missing and vanished without a trace from Walnut Creek, California. It was on that day at around 7 p.m. is when the 9-year-old Dickinson was last seen riding her bike in Walnut Creek, California. The 9-year-old Dickinson was going to a gas station not far from her home and was to be home at 8 p.m. But on this night, the 9-year-old Dickinson didn't return to her family home and has never been heard from or seen again. Dickinson's parents reported her missing at around 9 p.m. The bike the 9-year-old Dickinson was riding was found in a grove of walnut trees at Heather Farm Park near Contra Costa Canals 3 hours after she was last seen. A search of the canal turned up no clues of the 9-year-old Dickinson's whereabouts. But witnesses said they saw Dickinson at the park entrance. At around 7:30 p.m., several witnesses reported seeing a white male driving a medium-sized motorcycle 2 blocks east of Heather Farm Park. The man was not wearing a helmet and is described as being in his early 40s with brown curly hair, a mustache, and a chunky build. A white female wearing a white helmet, aged between 8 and 12 years old, was riding the motorcycle with him. It has not been verified if that child was Lisa Dickinson, and the man's identity has never been confirmed. Louis Richard Presquez is a primary suspect in the disappearance of 9-year-old Lisa Dickinson. Presquez was in prison for sex crimes between 1987 and 2002. This suspect has never been charged in connection with Lisa Dickinson's disappearance due to lack of evidence. If you have any info concerning the disappearance of Lisa Dickinson, please call the Walnut Creek Police Department at 952-943-5844. Case 3. Welcome to Big Bear Lake, California. Missing male. It was on August 6, 1995, when 9-year-old Jack Daniel Phillips, a white male, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Big Bear Lake, California. On that day, between 5 to 5:30 p.m., the 9-year-old Phillips was last seen near the Aspen Glen picnic grounds in the city of Big Bear Lake. Witnesses. His mother last saw him that afternoon heading to a nearby park. Another 9-year-old boy told investigators that he saw the boy walking from the picnic area towards the Phillips home at about around 5:30 p.m. that day. There has been no trace of Phillips since that day. There are no indications of foul play, no ransom demands, and no confirmed sightings. On that day, Phillips's mother and her boyfriend apparently had an argument, and the 9-year-old Phillips had told a friend he was tired of the arguing. 9-year-old Jack Phillips had ran away from home before. I had never run away from home before. A 20 square mile area around the Phillips home was searched on foot and on horseback and from the air in the days after the 9-year-old Phillips' disappearance, finding no evidence of Jack Phillips. Foul play is suspected. If you have any info concerning the disappearance of 9-year-old Jack Phillips, please call the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, Big Bear Lake Station at 909-387-3545. Case 4. Welcome to Trinity, California. Missing female. It was on November 10th, 1980, when 7-year-old Donna Lee Fowler, a white female, went missing and vanished without a trace from Trinity, California. On that day, the 7-year-old Fowler was kept home from school, and she told her grandfather she was going to run away. The grandfather helped her pack her bags, thinking she was joking, but she wasn't. On that day, at around 2:30 p.m., the 7-year-old Fowler was last seen near the Josh House Historical Museum downtown. That evening at 11:30 p.m., Donna Fowler's mother reported her 7-year-old daughter as missing. The 7-year-old Fowler was not reported missing right away because she had run away before and had always gone to a friend's house. The investigation, including a search with bloodhounds using hypnosis on 2 Redding, California men who thought they saw the 7-year-old Fowler. Excuse me. There was a reward raised by a local businessman, but the 7-year-old Fowler was never found, and no evidence linked to her disappearance was ever found. Investigators continue to receive tips. In August 2007, the police dug up a well in Weaverville after getting a tip that Donna Fowler remains had been placed in the old well in the area. But no evidence of the 7-year-old Fowler was located there. In December 2008, Wayne Harvey Smith confessed to killing 7-year-old Donna Fowler. Smith lived near the Fowlers' home in Weaverville, and he knew them. Investigators long suspected that Smith was responsible for the 7-year-old Fowler's disappearance. They did not have the evidence to arrest Smith or to officially name him as a suspect at the time. The suspect Smith left town shortly after Fowler vanished in November of 1980. Investigators spoke to Smith about Donna Fowler's case after his arrest in 1985, but he denied any responsibility. A break came, A break came when DNA linked Smith to a 1983 cold case in Los Angeles County. In a December 2nd, 2008 interview given as part of a plea deal to avoid a death penalty in the 1983 case, Smith admitted to killing the 7-year-old Donna Fowler on the day she went missing. Smith stated the 7-year-old Fowler came to his shack and wouldn't leave. Smith became angry and strangled the 7-year-old girl. Smith stated he took the 7-year-old Fowler to the Weaverville landfill and placed her body there. Because of the time elapsed and the changes at the landfill over the last 44 years, there will be no attempt to recover the 7-year-old Fowler's remains. It would be impossible to pinpoint the exact location and dig through 30 to 40 feet of dirt to locate the remains of 7-year-old Donna Fowler. It has been agreed between the detectives and the Trinity County District Attorney's Office that no deal would be struck without the approval of Donna Fowler's mother. The mother was willing to allow the deal with Smith since Smith was already serving time in prison and would never be released. That has to be the hardest thing for a mother to do, agreeing to a monster's plea deal, knowing she will never be able to give her young daughter a proper burial. This missing person case has been reclassified as a homicide and the investigation has been closed. Smith is serving a life sentence in prison without parole for another homicide. This is the type of case that haunts any investigator. You have the killer and the location of the victim's remains, but there are so overwhelming odds you would never find the remains. So you have to come to terms with the cold, cruel reality. But what if Smith was lying about the 7-year-old Fowler's location? During MJA investigations of multiple homicides by the same person, they usually have one kill where they hold back the details, including the location of the remains. It's something to think about. If you have any info concerning the disappearance of and murder of 7-year-old Donna Fowler, please call the Trinity County Sheriff's Office, Detective Sergeant Joshua Ford at 530-623-2611. Welcome to the state of Florida. The Doe Network has 249 males and 301 females listed as being missing from the state of Florida. Case 5. Welcome to Clearwater, Florida. Missing male. It was on September 11, 2000 when 8-year-old Zachary Michael Cole Bernhardt, a white male, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Clearwater, Florida. On that day, sometime during the early morning hours, the 8-year-old Bernhardt disappeared from his Clearwater home. The 8-year-old Bernhardt and his mother, Lee Hackett, were alone in the apartment. The mother, Leah Hackett, said she went for a short swim and then walked around the apartment complex at about 4 a.m. That her 8-year-old son Zach was asleep in his bed when she left. When Leah Hackett returned home about 30 to 45 minutes later, her 8-year-old son Zach was gone. An extensive police search around the area turned up no clues into the disappearance of 8-year-old Zach Bernhardt. Early on in the investigation, police stated they thought that the mother, Leah Hackett, knew more about her son's disappearance than she had disclosed. Hackett maintained her innocence in her son's disappearance. In early 2001, Kevin Jalbert, who resides near 8-year-old Zach Bernhardt's home, told someone that he was a child murderer and was prepared to find another victim. The police learned about Jalbert's comments and began tracking his movements. In September 2001, Jalbert attempted to solicit an undercover officer for assistance in a child abduction, rape, and murder. Jalbert was arrested shortly afterwards and was later sentenced to 40 years in prison. Jalbert claims he has abducted and raped 1,000 children and killed 5. Jalbert led an undercover police officer to 8-year-old Zach Bernhardt's apartment and said he had kidnapped a child from there. but he pointed out the wrong apartment and also described Bernhardt's clothing incorrectly. DNA samples from Jalbert also did not match the available evidence in the Jack Bernhardt disappearance. Then Jalbert recanted his statement denying having abducted the 8-year-old. But then Jalbert failed a polygraph test about his possible involvement in the case. Investigators found child sexual abuse websites on Jalbert's home computer. It was determined that Jalbert visited a nearby landfill about 2 weeks after the 8-year-old Bernhardt's disappearance. Jalbert had also been considered a suspect in a child abuse case in Florida sometime before the year 2000. Jalbert was never charged in connection with that unrelated case. Police stated that they had been unable to rule Jalbert out as a suspect in Bernhardt's disappearance. In January 2002, a 5-year-old boy was kidnapped from the same apartment complex where 8-year-old Zach Bernhardt disappeared from. The boy said his abductor lured him into a vehicle with the promise of ice cream and drove around with him for 10 hours. The 5-year-old boy was left alive in a trash bin in Bushnell, Florida, and he was rescued by a passing motorist. The 5-year-old boy may have been sexually assaulted. Investigators looked into the possibility of the 2002 kidnapping case and the Bernhardt case to see if they were connected, and they found no evidence to support this. The 2002 kidnapping remains unsolved, and the location of 8-year-old Zach Bernhardt hasn't been found. If you have any info concerning the disappearance of 8-year-old Zach Bernhardt, please call the Clearwater Police Department, Lieutenant Michael Hasty at 727-562-4422. Case 6. Welcome to Port Solano, Florida. Missing female. It was on July 11, 1993, as when 10-year-old Andrea Gail Parsons, a white female, went missing and vanished without a trace from Port Solano, Florida. On that day around 6 p.m., the 10-year-old Parsons was last seen near the street intersection in Port Solano, Florida. The victim's mother's boyfriend gave the 10-year-old Parsons permission to walk to a friend's home. 2 witnesses observed the 10-year-old Parsons walking towards the Port Solano grocery store shortly afterwards. An employee at the store told authorities that Parsons purchased potato chips and candy and then left the business. Witnesses came forward stating the 10-year-old Parsons, while collecting an empty soda can, was pushed into a car by a man. Investigators identified a former neighbor, Claude Davis, and a convicted child molester as the suspect after he first claimed to have witnessed the 10-year-old's abduction. Then Davis later said the 10-year-old Parson died accidentally while helping him collect aluminum cans for recycling. But this suspect was never charged due to the lack of evidence. Detectives later focused on a family member, Chester Price, who had a history of violence and once claimed he was present when Parsons was killed. The suspect, Price, also had a history of convictions for assault and drug abuse as well as sex crimes. Price had changed his story so many times it became clear that nothing Price said would be enough for charges without another witness or physical evidence to back it up. Remember, suspect 1, Claude Davis, during his legal troubles, he was cooperating with the investigation and testified before a grand jury. Davis testified that Chester Price forced the 10-year-old Parsons into Davis's 1978 van. The 10-year-old Parsons attempted to escape, and the 2 men murdered her and disposed of her body the next day. In November 2012, Chester Price was charged with the 10-year-old and Andrea Parsons kidnapping and murder. In the summer of 2013, 76-year-old Davis died suddenly at his home. The death of Davis seriously compromised the case against Price, which relied heavily on Davis's testimony. As a result, in 2014, the prosecution offered Chester Price a plea deal. Price pleaded no contest to manslaughter and kidnapping of a child under 13 and was sentenced to 10 years in prison. The body of 10-year-old Andrea Parsons has never been recovered. If you have any info concerning this case, please call the Martin County Sheriff's Office at 516-220-7000 or 516-220-7060. Let's take a pause for the cause, and when we return, I will be profiling 6 more missing person cases of children who never made it home. Be back in a moment. Welcome back to our MJ podcast. This series, Children Who Never Made It Home. Episode 7, Part 9, 12 Missing Children. Welcome to the state of Indiana. The Doe Network has 71 males and 71 females listed as being missing from the state of Indiana. Case 7. Welcome to Bristow, Indiana. Missing male. It was on November 6, 1997 is when 13-year-old Ricky Lane Thomas Jr., a white male, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Bristow, Indiana. On that day around 1 p.m., the 13-year-old Thomas was last seen by neighbors with his 2 hound red and black puppies that was also both missing. The 13-year-old Thomas had been having problems at school and was kept home as a result. The 13-year-old Thomas was being homeschooled by his parents, but they were both at work when their 13-year-old son disappeared. On that day, the 13-year-old Thomas was planning to meet with a cousin that day to go shopping in Tell City, Indiana. When the cousin called the house to confirm plans, Thomas's stepfather answered the phone and said the 13-year-old Thomas was not at home. The cousin called again later that evening to tell that Ricky Thomas's mother that Ricky never showed up to go shopping. The 13-year-old Ricky Thomas's mother reported her son missing to police the next day. Volunteers and law enforcement searched for the 13-year-old Thomas, but no trace of him was ever found. Please do not think that Thomas ran away, as he left all of his belongings behind. Foul play is suspected by police, with some speculation that Ricky Thomas's stepfather might have been involved in the young man's disappearance. Ricky Thomas's mother and stepfather have since divorced. There have been no arrests in the Thomas case. If you have any info concerning this case, please call the Indiana State Police at 812-482-1441. Case 8. Welcome to Lebanon, Indiana. Missing female. On August 29, 1981 is when 12-year-old Deborah Jean Cole, a white female, went missing and vanished without a trace from Lebanon, Indiana. MJA joined in on the search for Deborah Cole on June 1, 2001. It became our 6th case. It was on August 29th, 1981, at around 11 a.m. is when the 12-year-old Cole was last seen at her home by her mother and live-in boyfriend, Omar R. Steve Bebout. The 12-year-old Deborah Cole disappeared during the day and has never been heard from or seen again. Cole left all of her personal belongings inside her home. Cole's mother reported her 12-year-old daughter missing to police on August 31st, 1981, 2 days after her daughter was last seen. Cole's case was originally classified as that of a runaway. That all changed on October 4th, 1983, when Deborah Cole's sister, Frances, disappeared from their home. On October 7, 1983, Frances Cole's body was discovered along US 52 north of Lebanon. Frances Cole had been raped before being shot in the back. The coroner determined that Frances Cole died the same day she was found. The big question is, where was Frances Cole being held alive for those 3 days? Bebout was considered a suspect in Frances Cole's homicide and then became a prime suspect in Deborah Cole's 1981 disappearance. In April 1989, 49-year-old Bebout died a heart attack. When Bebout was alive, they were unable to get Bebout's DNA, but that changed after his death. In early 1999, authorities matched semen and other fluid samples taken from Frances Cole's body's remains to Bebout's DNA. Investigators believe the evidence proves that Bebout was responsible for Frances Cole's death. It only makes sense that Bebout would be the main suspect in Deborah Cole's disappearance. What has always bothered MJA investigators is if Bebout was involved in Deborah Cole's disappearance, why didn't he hide Frances Cole's body where he hid Deborah Cole's body, where she has not been found? That would make a lot of sense. If you have any questions concerning the disappearance of 12-year-old Deborah Cole, please call the Lebanon Police Department, Amy Dickerson, at 765-482-8836. Welcome to the state of Iowa. The Doe Network has 45 males and 29 females listed as being missing from the state of Iowa. Case 9. Welcome to Alton, Iowa. Missing male. It was on May 22, 2005, as when 4-year-old Brighton Scott Ackerman, a white male, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Alton, Iowa. The 4-year-old Ackerman disappeared while on a fishing trip with his family. On that day, family members had been sitting on a concrete bridge over Willow Creek, watching fish swim upstream in the creek. The family was facing south when the 4-year-old Ackerman declared he was done fishing and walked to the north side of the bridge. The young Ackerman was out of sight no more than 30 seconds. The family assumed the 4-year-old fell into the creek, although no one saw or heard it happen. A backhoe was used to tear out the bridge, and the culverts were removed and searched just in case Ackerman had become trapped inside. The creek zigzags through corn and soybean fields and is filled with concrete chunks, trees, fences, and other obstacles that could trap a body beneath the water. Police, divers, volunteers, and search dogs searched the creek for 17 miles down the Missouri River with no luck. Investigators believe the 4-year-old Ackerman had drowned. Foul play is not suspected. If you have any info concerning the disappearance and possible drowning of 4-year-old Brighton Scott Ackerman, please call the Sioux County Sheriff's Office at 712 737-3307. Case 10. Welcome to Davenport, Iowa. Missing female. It was on March 24th, 1980 is when 14-year-old Kimberly Sue Doss, a white female, went missing and vanished without a trace from Davenport, Iowa. The 14-year-old Doss had just moved to Texas with her mother. But several months later, the 14-year-old Doss moved back to Davenport, Iowa because she missed her friends and boyfriend. The 14-year-old Kimberly Doss had planned to live with her father, but instead stayed with her boyfriend and his family. The 14-year-old Doss kept in regular touch with her mother in Texas. On March 20th, 1980, Kimberly Doss called her mother and said she was coming back to Houston and had gotten a bus ticket. The 14-year-old Doss mentioned meeting a girl on the bus in Quad City area named Kathy, who was from Chicago, Illinois. Kimberly Doss planned to spend the night in Chicago before going to Houston. The 14-year-old Kimberly Doss never arrived in Houston, Texas, and has never been heard from or seen again. The missing child's mother attempted to report her 14-year-old daughter is missing, but the Houston police refused to accept the report because the 14-year-old Doss had disappeared in Iowa. Doss's mother was on a mission, so she then contacted the Davenport police in Iowa and tried to file a report. But they wouldn't take a report either because Kimberly Doss' mother lived in Texas. It was not until September of 1982, after Kimberly Doss's mother moved back to Davenport, Iowa, that she was finally able to file a report for her 14-year-old daughter as a runaway with the Davenport Police Department. Thursday's Child, a charitable organization, claimed they made contact with Kimberly Doss in 1983 when Doss was arrested for prostitution in California, that she was using the name Kimberly Kathleen Gardner and didn't want anything to do with her family. It turns out this woman was not Kimberly Doss or Kimberly Kathleen Gardner. This woman was located in Minnesota in 1991 and admitted her real name was Shannon Jones. All of the supposed sightings of Kimberly Doss that had been reported after 1980 was actually Jones. In 2018, a DNA sample was taken from Jones, which proved she was not Kimberly Doss. Due to this misidentification, Kimberly Doss's name was mistakenly removed from the National Crime Information Center several times. The 14-year-old Kimberly Doss's family does not believe she ran away from home. They don't think Doss would have suddenly stopped contacting everyone she knew. The disappearance of 14-year-old Kimberly Doss remains unsolved. If you have any info concerning this case, please call the Davenport Police Department or Detective Jordan Sander at 563-328-6749. Welcome to the state of Kansas. The Doe Network has 73 males and 40 females listed as being missing from the state of Kansas. Case 11. Welcome to Towanda, Kansas. Missing male. It was on July 1st, 1999 when 11-year-old Adam Joseph Herman, a white male, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Towanda, Kansas. The 11-year-old Herman disappeared sometime during the summer of 1999. Herman vanished without a trace from the Pine Ridge Mobile Home Park in Towanda, Kansas, where he lived with his adoptive parents, Doug and Valerie Herman. The exact missing date for 11-year-old Adam Joseph Herman is unknown. In 2008, Herman's adoptive sister called the Missing Children's Hotline in Wichita, Kansas, and police become aware of his disappearance. The 11-year-old Adam Herman's adoptive parents, Doug and Valerie Herman, told police the 11-year-old had a history of running away, claiming the last time Adam Herman ran away was in 1999 and he didn't come back. Family members say they do not believe the parents' story and believe they had something to do with the disappearance of the 11-year-old Herman. According to family members, Adam Herman was often kept locked in a bathroom and spanked with a metal buckle of a belt. At around the time of the 11-year-old Adam Herman's disappearance, the Hermans withdrew him from public school and began homeschooling him. In 2010, Adam Herman's adoptive parents, Doug and Valerie, were charged with theft. This was related to welfare fraud for accepting more than $50,000 in government adoption funds and grants long after 11-year-old Adam Herman had disappeared. The judge ordered them to pay restitution, a fine, and prison sentences of less than a year. Foul play is strongly suspected in the disappearance of 11-year-old Adam Herman, and his adoptive parents, Doug and Valerie, are the main suspects. If you have any info concerning this case, please call the Butler County Sheriff's Office, Detective Robert Albert, at 316-322-4257. Case 12. Welcome to Garden City, Kansas. Missing female. It was on January 16, 1995, is when 15-year-old Rachel Geraldine Pratt, a white female, went missing and vanished without a trace from Garden City, Kansas. It was on that day at around 1 a.m. is when the 15-year-old Pratt was last seen at home watching a movie. When the 15-year-old daughter Pratt's mother returned home from work at 2 a.m., Pratt was gone. The only personal item missing was Pratt's jacket. The 15-year-old Pratt's stepfather and siblings were in the home at the time of her disappearance. The police report do not believe that the 15-year-old Rachel Pratt was abducted. 2 weeks before 15-year-old Pratt went missing, her 18-year-old boyfriend and father of her child was being prosecuted for having unlawful sex with Rachel Pratt, who was a minor. This was due to the 15-year-old Pratt getting pregnant. Once the 15-year-old Rachel Pratt disappeared, the charges against the 18-year-old boyfriend were dropped. There has been several unconfirmed sightings of Rachel Pratt from people who knew her after she went missing, leaving her family to believe the 15-year-old Pratt may still be alive in the state of Kansas. Investigators say there is no record of Rachel Pratt ever getting a driver's license or using her social security number or giving birth to a baby. Police suspect foul play in the disappearance of 15-year-old Rachel Pratt. If you have any info concerning the disappearance of 15-year-old Pratt, please call the Garden City Police Department, Sergeant Richard Powers, at 620-276-1300. I want to thank our viewers and listeners for tuning in, for you all have been so kind. I have a quote for you all. Try not to become a man of success, but rather to become a man of value. Albert Einstein. Always remember, folks, that if you ever get bored with nothing to do, well, take a walk deep into the woods. You might be surprised at what you might find. That's the end of our MJA podcast, the series, Children Who Never Made It Home, Episode 7, Part 9, 12 Missing Children. And we say to all of you, good night from the shed in Hudson, Florida, located on the Gulf of Mexico.
got a while to go before you're in. Make a wish. We're burning all above the evidence. Slip away. Don't want them to know where you've been again. Don't tell your friends. You can't let anyone know what we did. Caught in the clouds. Once you leave here on the ground, float from the ground, out of body believing all we found. Floating ghost-like through the atmosphere, like spirit vines, crawling deep through the underskin. Things will change, like they always wanna be alive, and people fade. Becoming a ghost in the afterlife. Cool in the clouds. Once you leave it